What we'll be starting today is first concept of beta. Please concentrate first what beta measures. Beta measures relationship between market rate of return and security rate of return. It measures a relationship between market rate of return and security rate of return. What does this mean? This means if market is increasing by 10%, let me write down in this manner. If market is increasing by 10% and security is increasing by 20%, then answer of beta will be 2. See the relationship. When the market increases by 10%, security increases by 20%. So the beta is 2. Is right. If market increases by 20%, so this is of Reliance. This we are talking of Tata. 20% and security is increasing by 60% at that time. Beta will be 60% divided by 20%, that is 3. Say X Limited, if market increases 1 time and security increases 10 times, beta of this is 10. So, sir, beta is nothing but a change in security divided by change in market. Initially, yes. For conceptual clarity, this is a good answer to understand. It shows a relationship between individual security and market. But try to concentrate. Beta is measurement of risk. Try to understand, when I am explaining you, I am writing everything about a return. And one fine point, I am saying you, it is measurement of risk. It is actual measurement of systematic risk, but I'll explain you that afterwards. Right now understand, beta is a measurement of risk. Why try to concentrate? Out of this 3 security are Tata and X Limited. I agree that whenever the time comes, X Limited gives higher return, because if market increases 10%, this security will become double, that is, it will increase 100%. I understand return is higher. So I have told you, whenever return is higher, risk will always be higher, and let me also prove it that risk is also higher. Try to concentrate, if for Reliance, market decreases by 10%. What is market? Market is nothing but say index of market, Sensex, Nifty, or by whatever measurement you find out market rate of return, what the market is earning. Is it alright? Market is down by 10%. Your security, which is Reliance, will be down by 10 into 2%, that is 20%. If Tata is down by 10%, if market is down by 10%, Tata will be down by 30%. If market is down by 10%, say Sensex from 30,000 becomes 27,000. Market is down by 10%. Then X Limited will be down by 10 into 10, that is 100%. That is, this company will become insolvent and market price will become 0. Is it correct? which company is most risky? Sachin, can you tell me which company is most risky out of X, Tata and Reliance?
Sir, it is X Limited.
Yes, X Limited is most risky and R is least risky. In comparison of this three, X Limited is most risky and Reliance Limited is least risky. Is it correct? Beta of Reliance is 2, beta of X Limited is 10. So, beta is a measurement of risk. Beta is measurement of risk. Higher the beta, I am not talking about written. Higher the beta, higher is the risk of the security. Is it correct? My question is, what is beta of market? See, if someone says me what is beta of market, try to understand. Once again I am writing how I have found out beta. It is change in security for which you are finding out beta divided by change in market. Is correct. So if the change in security is 20%, change in market is 10%, beta will be 2. But if someone asks me what is beta of the market, beta of the market, say, first let me write down beta of security. Change in security divided by change in market. If I want to find out beta of market, security will be replaced by market. Beta of market divided by beta of market is nothing but 1. Always remember, beta of market is always 1. So only when we say beta of Reliance is 2, what we say is it is 2 times comparatively risky to market. Is it alright? So beta of the market will always be 1. Is it alright? I am summarizing first formula, that is beta will be is equal to change in security divided by change in market. You can use it sometimes. Let us just say this is a basic understanding of beta. Let us understand technically the concept of beta. Try to concentrate how beta of security is actually measured. Beta of any security, how it is actually measured. Is it alright? Try to concentrate. Standard deviation of security divided by standard deviation of market. Is it alright? What we have learned, beta is equal to change in security divided by change in market. Is it alright? Change is measured by standard deviation. Change in security is nothing but deviation. Is it alright? See, 10%, 20%, 20% there is a change. You can find out if there is only one variable and one data available. But if 100 of data is available, how to find out the change? You will have to find out standard deviation. So standard deviation of security divided by standard deviation of market, because beta is a measurement between security and market. It shows a relationship between security and market. Is it alright? Why this is in numerator, this is in denominator, we already know it. Is it alright? Now try to concentrate. Here also comes the concept of R. Here also comes the concept of R. Try to concentrate. This happens only if the correlation is 1. Try to understand. Here I have directly written, if market increases by 10% and security increases by 20%, beta is 2. But this will happen only if the correlationship between two variables is 1. In future, if the market increases by 10%, Reliance will increase by 20% only if R is equal to 1. Alright. What is meaning of R is equal to 1 is there is a perfect positive correlation between two variables. Alright. So this time market has increased by 10%, security has increased by 20%. That does not mean every time this will happen unless R is equal to 1. Is it alright? If R is equal to 0.5, there is no perfect correlation between two variables. Then this beta will decrease. Is it alright? What will happen is market increases by 10%. Every time security will not increase by 20%. It will increase something less. Is it alright? So what is multiplied over here is R multiplied by R of security and market. Is it alright? Once again, try to understand. If R is equal to 1, every time one security increases by one proportion, another security will increase by same proportion. Is it alright? So, if R is equal to 1, the formula is this. Is it alright? But say this answer is 5. And R is 0.5, then believe me, beta will be reduced to only 2.5. That is, if market increases one time, security will increase 5 times. No, this time it has increased 5 times, but the relationship between two variables suggests that it will increase only 2.5 times in future. So we multiply R in the security. This is nothing but measurement of beta. This is the basic formula used for measurement of beta. Is it alright? If you will see it properly, it is absolutely simple. It shows a relationship between security and market, but for showing the relationship, how much percentage, how much will increase, you need to multiply compulsory it with R. Is it alright? See, if R is 0, is it alright? So practically there is no relationship between, let me take R 0. 0 multiplied by, say, this answer is 5. What is the answer? 0. Why? There is no relationship between individual security rate of return and market security rate of return. Is it not? This is my basic formula for beta. I am finding out an alternate formula for beta from the same formula. Beta of security is equal to R between security and market, standard deviation of security divided by, this is already there. Can I multiply and divide same variable? That is, I multiply in numerator as well as denominator same variable. Yes, I can do it. Numerator standard deviation of m, denominator standard deviation of m. Beta of the security will be, see the numerator properly. This is nothing but covariance between x and y. R is equal to covariance xy divided by standard deviation of x into standard deviation of y. If this is to go on left hand side, it will go over here, standard deviation of x, standard deviation of y. This is nothing but covariance xy. That's all. So numerator will be covariance xy divided by standard deviation of m square. What is standard deviation of m square? Variance of market. So beta can be written by covariance between x and y divided by variance of market. This is the same formula, just we have derived it from original formula. As per information available, you can use this formula. You can use this formula for finding out beta of the security. In some cases, you can even use beta is equal to standard deviation of security divided by standard deviation of market. Change of security divided by change of market if limited information is available. So I am summarizing beta with this 3 formula. Normally you should use first and second formula. Exceptionally you can use beta is equal to change in security divided by change in market. This was first concept in portfolio management. After return and risk this is beta. Let us go to next point. We are going to concept of CAPM. I know you have learned it at lower standard, but let us learn it right now. Capital asset pricing model. We had it in lower standard, that is intermediate. We have also done in one of the chapter, but here we'll be learning full-fledged technically. What a CAPM finds out is first, it finds out actual return. No. It cannot find out actual return. It finds out from a particular security what should be your expected return. What should be your expected return? Is it alright? It says a person will always expect risk-free rate of return. Is it alright? Say you invest 100 somewhere. How much will you expect at least in India? 7%, because this is what fixed deposit gives you. Is it alright? So if someone tells you a business where you are earning 5%, you will never do that business, because instead you will be investing in fixed deposit. From any investment, a person will require a risk-free rate of interest. RF is risk-free rate of interest. Will you expect something more? The answer is yes. What you will expect more is nothing but risk premium. See, if you are investing in risk-free security, you will expect only RF. But if you are investing in risky security, you will expect more than RF. A simple example, if I gamble and someone tells me that in gambling you will be getting 7% return per annum, I'll never gamble it, because I'm not getting premium on my risk. So what I'll expect is risk premium. What I'll expect is risk premium. Sorry. Try to understand the concept of market risk premium. RM minus RF, whereby RM is market rate of return. RM is market rate of return. RF we have already written, risk-free rate of return. So RM minus RF is termed as market risk premium. Sorry. Let me take some figures and help you out on this. RF is 6%, RM is 11%. Sorry. What will be RM minus RF? Will be 5%. Sorry. Try to concentrate. Any person investing in stock market, say these figures are of India, so any person investing in stock market in India will expect a 5% more rate of return as compared to risk-free security. Why it will expect 5% more? Because they are taking a risk. Say there is an option of fixed deposit, there is an option of market. They are not selecting this option, so they are taking some risk, and so they should be getting that market risk premium. And market risk premium is nothing but 5%. So they will always expect. So what is RF? Is 6%. What is RM minus RF? Is 5%. So they will always expect 5% more, because they are not investing in fixed deposit, they are investing in market. Market is risky. For that market risk, they will expect some premium, and RM minus RF is market risk premium. Is it alright? So understand, RM minus RF is market risk premium. But you are finding out expected return of market or of security. You are finding it out of security. Say Reliance, say Tata, say X Limited, Y Limited, any security. But you are not finding out expected return of market. Expected return of market is RM. Sorry. Expected return of security. Now, whether the risk of a security is equal to risk of market, the answer is normally no. Is it alright? You are investing in market actually, or you are investing in market in some actual security, in some security. Security might be having more risk, security might be having less risk as compared to market. Say I am taking one figure which we have already understood, that is beta. Say beta of the security is 2. Beta of the security is 2. What does this mean? This is 2 times risky as compared to market. That is, if market increases by 10%, this security will increase by 20%. If market decreases by 10%, this security will decrease by 20%. It is double riskier than market. Then you will expect a double risk premium. Is it correct? What was your risk premium? But what was your risk premium is 5%. Now I will not expect 5%. I will expect 10% from the market. Why? Because I am not actually investing in the market. Under market, yes, I am investing in market, but inside market, I am investing in security which is having double risk as compared to market. So I will expect a double risk premium. How to expect double risk premium in our formula? Sorry, this is 5. Just multiply 2. What was the beta? 2. Just multiply 2. You will be getting 10%. Is it right? Where beta is to be multiplied over here. So what will be my ultimate formula? Is it right? Of CAPM is expected rate of return is equal to RF plus beta into RM minus RF. That's right. Why RF? Everyone will expect risk-free rate of return. Why RM minus RF? Because I am investing in market. Am I taking same risk as compared to market? No. So should I be getting market risk premium or security risk premium? I should be getting security risk premium. So beta into RM minus RF is a security risk premium. Say if someone asks you what is security risk premium, it is beta into RM minus RF. If someone asks you what is a market risk premium, it is just RM minus RF, beta will not be multiplied. If someone asks you market risk premium, what will be multiplied is security risk premium, and security risk premium is beta into RM minus RF. Is it all? This is concept of CAPM, is a concept of capital asset pricing model, whereby if you are investing in security, you want to find out your actual expected rate of return, then you can use a formula of capital asset pricing model and just find out the answer. Is it all? This was CAPM. After CAPM, let us go again to concept of risk. Try to concentrate. Risk in market are divided into 2 portions. One is systematic risk. Another is unsystematic risk. What this means in market, try to understand. When we will be doing theory, I will be explaining you risk from overall perspective. Right now only we are concerned about the market. Systematic risk are the risk which cannot be reduced by your mind, by doing something, by reducing it through diversification. This cannot be removed. They are systematic risk. They are inherent to market, and so it can never be ignored. Or it should always be ignored because you cannot do anything about it. Is it correct? Systematic risk are also termed as non-diversifiable risk or undiversifiable risk. Is it correct? This risk cannot be reduced through diversification. Is it correct? Unsystematic risk are diversifiable risk. Is it correct? Sometimes I use incorrect English and write down over here undiversifiable. Is that right? Why? Whenever it is systematic, it is undiversifiable. Whenever it is unsystematic or non-systematic, then it is diversifiable. It is reverse. If here it is UN, here it is no UN. If here it is no UN, here it is UN. Systematic risk is undiversifiable risk and unsystematic risk is diversifiable risk. This risk cannot be diversified. This risk cannot be diversified. Is it all right? Try to concentrate. I'll give you a simple example. If a total risk I have found out by weighted average, total risk is 10, out of which 4 can be reduced through diversification. Then 4 will be systematic risk and 6 will be unsystematic risk. 4 cannot be reduced through diversification. 4 cannot be reduced through diversification. It is systematic risk. 6 can be reduced through diversification. It is unsystematic risk. Any risk which can be reduced is termed as unsystematic risk. Any risk which cannot be reduced, it is sunk cost. You cannot do anything about it. Is it all right? It is an systematic risk. Is it all right? So I'll tell you an systematic risk for you. Is it right? If you are doing chartered accountancy course, chartered accountancy comes under the institute ICAI, which is recognized by government through an act. Is it right? One fine day, you become chartered accountant and government removes that act. Is it right? That now onwards there will be no chartered accountant in India. Is it right? Is it risk for you? Yes. Can you reduce it by doing something? The answer is no. This type of risk is a systematic risk. That's right. You are doing CA final. Your risk is that you will be failing in examination. Is it alright? Can you reduce this risk? You cannot make it 0, but can you reduce this risk? Yes. How? By studying hard, by understanding concept logically, you can easily pass the examination. Then that risk is unsystematic risk because it can be diversified or it can be reduced. Is it alright? This is systematic risk, unsystematic risk for you. We are going to systematic risk. Systematic risk and unsystematic risk. First, try to understand. Risk can be measured by two concepts. One is the standard deviation, another is variance, because it is a comparative figure. Is it alright? So risk as a standard deviation of a security. We have already understood the formula how to find out risk through standard deviation. This is not prevalent. What we find out as a risk is variance normally. But let me also explain you through standard deviation. Is it alright? The risk in standard deviation is under root W1 square into standard deviation of 1 square plus W2 square into standard deviation of 2 square plus 2 into W1 into W2 into covariance of 1, 2. So this we have learned. This is how I can find out the total risk. Now this risk will be total risk. Out of this total risk, what is systematic risk? Try to concentrate. What is systematic risk? Is it alright? Systematic risk will be is equal to, try to concentrate, beta is best measurement of a systematic risk. While explaining you beta, I have not explained you, but now I'll be explaining you that beta is a measurement of a systematic risk. So it is beta of a security multiplied by standard deviation Just we are learning something related to systematic risk, right? Now, understand.
You are not audible.
Yes, thank you. Systematic risk. We have found out total risk by standard deviation, and by this formula we can find out total risk. Now, what is systematic risk? Try to concentrate. It is beta of the security multiplied by standard deviation of market. Now, where this formula is derived from, I'll tell you. What is beta of the security is R into standard deviation of security divided by standard deviation of market. This is formula for beta. Is it alright? Multiplied by standard deviation of market. Is it alright? This is cancelled. You can find out R between security and market. This is R between security and market, multiplied by standard deviation of security. Is it alright? Try to concentrate now. Is it alright? If this is the systematic risk, sir, standard deviation of security is a risk. Agreed. Is it alright? If R is equal to 1, try to concentrate, you will understand the concept that why this is a systematic risk. Is it alright? If R is equal to 1, that means risk cannot be diversified through diversification. Is it alright? That is, risk cannot be reduced through diversification. Is it alright? If risk cannot be reduced through diversification, that type of risk is known as a systematic risk or undiversifiable risk. Is it alright? Believe me, your whole portion of standard deviation, say standard deviation is 10%, which is equal to risk. If R is equal to 1, let me find out systematic risk. Systematic risk will be R is equal to 1 multiplied by standard deviation of security is 10%. What is systematic risk? 10%. We have already decided if R is equal to 1, risk cannot be reduced. If risk cannot be reduced, the whole of the risk is systematic risk or undiversifiable risk. What is the answer of systematic risk is 10%. So what if R is equal to 0.5%? R is equal to 0.5. Then the risk can be reduced through diversification. Is it alright? How much risk? At least 50% of your concerned risk can be reduced through diversification. What is your risk? 10%. What will be your systematic risk? 1 into, let me take it 0.6. 0.6. 0.6 into, what is the risk? 10. That is 6%. 6% cannot be reduced through diversification. So 4% can be reduced through diversification, and that 4% is nothing but unsystematic risk or diversifiable risk. Is it alright? 0.6% cannot be reduced through diversification, so it is a systematic risk. This can be reduced through diversification, so it is an unsystematic risk. Is it alright? Try to understand. Higher the positive correlation between two variables, lesser is risk reduction through diversification. Say highest correlation is 1. Is it all? Risk reduction of diversification will be 0. Say R is 0.95. There will be less risk reduction through diversification. If R is 0.10, there will be more risk reduction through diversification. Lower the figure of R, more will be unsystematic risk which can be reduced through diversification. Higher the figure of R, less will be risk reduction through diversification, less will be unsystematic risk. Is it alright? So this is the formula for finding out a systematic risk. Is it alright? R between security and market, we should have derived it in this manner. Is it alright? But still, it is easy to understand it. Is it alright? Systematic risk is equal to R of security and market, standard deviation of security. If we write down formula of R, this will be your answer, and ultimately this will be your answer. So we can summarize a systematic risk by two formula. One is systematic risk is equal to beta of security multiplied by standard deviation M, or systematic risk is equal to R between security and market multiplied by standard deviation of security. Both are same formula, will result into same answer. Sir, then what is unsystematic risk? Unsystematic risk will be is equal to total risk minus systematic risk. So there is no formula for unsystematic risk, but it will be systematic total risk minus systematic risk will be nothing but the concept of unsystematic risk. Is it all? But here we have taken a risk as a measurement of standard deviation. Normally what you should take in examination is a risk as a measurement of variance as a measurement of risk. Is it all right? Variance as measurement of risk. Is it all right? So what is variance as a measurement of risk? Try to understand. Risk will be measured at standard deviation of security whole square. I have explained you before also, whether you compare standard deviation, whether you compare variance, both are measurement of risk because it is comparative measurement. Is it alright? So if standard deviation is measurement of risk, what will be total risk? It will be under root, no, as now it is square. It is standard deviation square, under root will be removed. It will be W1 whole square into standard deviation of 1 whole square plus W2 whole square into standard deviation of 2 whole square plus 2 into W1 into W2 into covariance between 1 and 2. Sorry. What is 1 over here? Security. 2 over here is market. Two is second security and it is not market first. Alright. I have got total risk of the security? Yes. Or total risk of the portfolio? Yes. Is it all? Through standard deviation or through variance? It is through variance. Is it all? If it is through variance, then how to find out the systematic risk? See, I personally name it as systematic variance. Is it systematic variance? Yes. But understand, you are doing CA final SFM subject. In examination, they will ask a systematic risk and you will have to find out systematic variance. You don't have to find out this. Is it alright? What is systematic risk in form of variance is nothing but square of this. Is it alright? So what is the formula over here? Systematic risk is beta of the security. Beta of security multiplied by standard deviation of market. Is it alright? Whole square will be nothing but a risk as per variance. It is practically termed as systematic variance, but in examination this is all. Is it not a systematic risk? It is a systematic risk. Try to understand. It is a systematic variance risk. It is a systematic risk when you term variance as your risk and not standard deviation as your risk. Is it all right? So systematic risk will be nothing but beta of security whole square multiplied by variance of market. It is just a square of systematic risk in form of standard deviation. Sir, then how to find out unsystematic risk? We are having total risk. Is it alright? Then unsystematic risk will be total risk minus systematic risk. Will be nothing but concept of unsystematic risk. Once again, even if it is unsystematic risk, it is diversifiable. This is systematic risk, it is non-diversifiable. Systematic risk, which cannot be diversified, unsystematic risk, which can be diversified along with formula. So practically you need to understand these two formulas, and third formula is nothing but this. Alright. Concept of systematic risk, unsystematic risk in the market. Try to concentrate. Whenever even you will search Google or anything, people will say beta is a measurement of a systematic risk. I absolutely agree with it. Beta is a measurement of systematic risk. But sir, systematic risk is beta into standard deviation of market. Agreed. Is it alright? But the base is beta. You are multiplying it with standard deviation of the market. That is a different thing. Otherwise the base is beta. And beta is a measurement of a systematic risk and not unsystematic risk. Let me prove it once again in another form. What is beta is R between X and Y into standard deviation of X and standard deviation of Y. Say R is equal to 1. We know when R is equal to 1, the risk cannot be diversified and whole of risk will be systematic. Whole of risk will be systematic. Is it alright? If R is equal to 1 and this answer is say 20%. What is the answer? 20%. Whole of the 20% is beta. Can be diversified, cannot be diversified. Whole of the risk is systematic. That is, cannot be diversified. Cannot be diversified. Is it alright? So, whole of the risk cannot be diversified if R is equal to 1 is proved in this formula. So beta is measurement of a systematic risk. Is it alright? So if someone asks you in an interview, what is the systematic risk? Beta is absolutely correct answer. You don't need to speak formula beta into standard deviation of market. Beta is nothing but measurement of systematic risk. Is it alright? So always remember this, beta is measurement of systematic risk, and this is the proof. Let us go to some of the concept of portfolio performance evaluation. See, if there is a portfolio and you want to evaluate the portfolio, then how you can evaluate? Are there any measurement techniques by which you can evaluate? The answer is yes. Is not it? First, understand Sharpe ratio. First, understand how Sharpe ratio is found out. It is return, R is not a risk, R is return of security minus a risk-free rate of return. Sir, we are not evaluating security. Then return of the portfolio minus risk-free rate of return divided by standard deviation. Of portfolio. Is it done? Yes. Divided by standard deviation of portfolio. Is it done? Now what is this? Try to concentrate. If portfolio is giving return of 20%, this portfolio is given return of 20%, and risk-free rate of return is 8%, RP minus RF, that is numerator, will be 12%. Say this is portfolio A. Then numerator is 12%. Standard deviation of this portfolio. Standard deviation is measurement of risk. Risk of the portfolio is say 3. Let's start it. Divided by 3. Sharpe's ratio will be 4% or 4. Let's start it. Let me write it down 4. Sir, how this can evaluate the portfolio? How this can prove that whether the portfolio is good or bad? Again, it can be proved only in comparative manner, not in absolute manner. Absolute, this 4 is not having any value. Sorry. Try to concentrate in portfolio B. Sorry. Return is 40%. Risk-free rate of return is 8%. In market, risk-free rate of return remains same. Divided by the standard deviation, here it is 3, here it is 8. Let me take it 16. So what is the data? Try to concentrate in this case. Return of portfolio is 20%, risk-free rate of return is 8%, and the standard deviation is 3. Let's start. What is data over here? Return of the portfolio is 40%. RF will remain same 8%, and standard deviation of portfolio is nothing but 16. Start it. Now let us go to that concept. Sir, which portfolio is better? Lower the risk, lower is the return, higher the risk, higher is the return. But still there is an author who is sharp, who says that performance, the portfolio can be evaluated by this ratio. How? Let us take a standard deviation as a unit. Then for 1 unit, it is giving 4% rate of return. For 1 unit of standard deviation, it is giving 4% rate of return in excess of RF. This just means this. Try to concentrate. What is the portfolio return you are getting? 20%. What is the risk-free rate of return? 8%. So how much excess return over and above risk-free rate of return you are getting is 12%. Over and above risk-free rate of return you are getting is 12%. What is your measurement of standard deviation? 3. So what is the per unit of a standard deviation you are getting as far as your excess return over and above RF is concerned is 4%. Let me find it out over here. It is 32% divided by 16 and Sharpe ratio is 2. What does this mean? Try to understand. Here, for 1 unit of a standard deviation, you are earning 2% over and above your risk-free rate of return. So, what is your return in excess of risk-free rate of return is this. In this case 12%, in this case 32%. Is it correct? What is standard deviation over here? 3. Standard deviation over here 16. Then Sharpe's ratio over here is 4 and Sharpe's ratio over here is 2. Higher the Sharpe ratio, more you are earning per unit of standard deviation. So better is the portfolio. So portfolio is better in this case. Is it alright? This is a better portfolio. This is not so better portfolio. Is it alright? Comparatively. So try to concentrate. If I'm having 10 portfolios, say mutual fund, mutual fund are ultimately portfolio. I want to make a quick decision where I should invest my money. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I will be finding out Sharpe ratio. I'll be finding out Sharpe ratio. Highest the Sharpe ratio, better is the portfolio, and I'll be investing in that particular portfolio. So Sharpe ratio is one of the measurement of performance evaluation as far as portfolio is concerned. You're having any doubt in Sharpe ratio? You can tell me.
Sir, if less than 1, then?
Yes?
If it is less than 1?
If it is?
Less than 1, then what does it indicate?
It indicates the same thing. Per unit of standard deviation, you are getting 0.80% rate of return over and above your risk-free rate of return. Is it all right? So first you have found out is excess over risk-free rate of return. Is it all right? If it is less than 1, per unit of standard deviation gives you 0.80% rate of return. Let me not speak that excess word. It gives me 0.80% rate of return per unit of standard deviation. When I am talking about return over here, it is over and above that risk-free rate of return. Is it all right? Believe me, this formula you learned somewhere. You've done that normal curve at your lower standard? Yes. Is it alright? This is something like normal curve. Is it alright? There was a concept of Z. Normal variate. Is it alright? What was Z? X minus X bar upon standard deviation. What is actual variable? What is the average of actual variable? Yes, here we are not talking about average. Here we are taking about risk-free rate of return. So we are not comparing it with average. We are comparing it with risk-free rate of return divided by standard deviation. This looks like this. Return of the portfolio minus risk-free rate of return, X minus X bar. Of course, this is not X bar. Is it all right? It is a probability concept. This is a different concept. But the logic is same behind it. When Z is equal to 2, try to concentrate. Here Z is equal to 2 will be on right hand side. This point is a 2 standard deviation far as your base is concerned. What is your base? X bar. Is it alright? Here also the concept is same. Is it alright? So per unit, say there are, what is the standard deviation of here? 3. This is 12%. How many standard deviation? 3. So make 3 parts of it. 1, 2 and 3. Is it right? Each part will be getting how much percentage? 4%. Per unit of standard deviation. This is first unit, this is second unit, this is third unit. You are getting 4% rate of return. Sharpe ratio. Is it alright? Higher the Sharpe ratio, better is the portfolio performance evaluation. Number 2 is the trainer's ratio. Again, it is a portfolio performance evaluation measurement. Trainer's ratio is nothing but return of the portfolio minus risk-free rate of return. Is it alright? So return should be compared with risk to evaluate the performance. Yes. So standard deviation of portfolio. Is it right? But this is a Sharpe ratio and this is not trainer's ratio. What is trainer's ratio? Concentrate. It is beta of portfolio. Is beta measurement of risk? Yes, beta is a measurement of risk. So in denominator here also what comes is risk. What comes is risk. Is it alright? Sir, what is the difference? Sharpe takes a standard deviation as a measurement of risk. A standard deviation is a total risk. It is not systematic risk. Beta is a measurement of systematic risk. So trainers agrees to take only systematic risk for performance evaluation. See, they all are authored and try to understand, this is logically correct? Yes. Now what trainer says is also logically correct. He says the risk which can be reduced through diversification, you should reduce it through diversification. You should not keep that risk open. Is it alright? Other risk cannot be reduced through diversification is a systematic risk. So whenever you are talking about the concept of risk, you should always consider about systematic risk. See, when you prepare for your examination, you always think about your hard work, your logical answer. You never think whether ICAI will become insolvent or not. Is it alright? So you think always about systematic risk, and you will not think about unsystematic risk. And so whenever you are measuring something, you should measure something by systematic risk and not by unsystematic risk. This is what a trainer says, and otherwise the concept is same. Let me take again two portfolio A, portfolio B. Portfolio A is having a return of 20%, RF of 8%, and beta of 4. So this will be 20% minus 8% divided by 4. It is 12% divided by 4 is 3, is trainer's ratio. Can any one student help me out? What does this 3 means? Any student?
For 1 unit of standard deviation, 3% rate
Beta.
of return in excess of risk-free rate of return. 3 beta.
Is it alright? Yeah, otherwise your answer is correct. For per unit of beta, you are getting 3% rate of return. If beta is 3, so one time you are taking risk in the market. 3 is beta of security, 1 is beta of the market. One time you are taking risk in the market, you are getting 3% rate of return if you invest in this particular portfolio. Sorry. Return of the portfolio is 50%. Risk-free rate of return is 8% and beta is 10. I am finding out trainer's ratio, which is 50% minus 8% divided by 10. This is 42% divided by 10 is 4.2 is trainer's ratio. Even if the risk is higher, the return is compensating the risk as compared to portfolio A. You should invest in portfolio B and not in portfolio A, because this is giving 4.2% RP minus RF. Is it all right? 4.2% RP minus RF for 1 unit of beta. What this is giving? This is giving 3% rate of return. Which rate of return? Portfolio return minus RF. Is it all right? For 1 unit of beta in portfolio A. Is it all? So this is nothing but concept of a trainer's ratio. Both are measurement of or they are performance evaluation measurement of portfolio. Is it alright? Sharpe's ratio considers the standard deviation and trainer's ratio considers beta. Otherwise there is no difference. Sharpe's ratio considers total risk. Trainer's ratio considers only systematic risk. Is it alright? Why only systematic risk and not unsystematic risk? Try to concentrate. Let me take the same example which you understand. Say there are two institutes, ICAI, ICSI. This is company secretary, right? Let's start. If you do ICAI course, you will be getting 20% rate of return. Say it is measured in salary. There is no investment, so it is not practically rate of return. Let me put it in salary. You will be getting salary of 1 lakh rupees per year, per month. Otherwise, you'll stop doing C. If you are doing ICASI, you will be getting 60,000 rupees per month. Both courses are difficult, the answer is yes. Is it not it? In both you need hard work, the answer is yes. Is it not it? How much hard work is required in ICAI? How much hard work is required in ICSI is unsystematic risk. See, I told you to pass the examination you need to work hard. Can you work hard and reduce that risk? The answer is yes. So it is diversifiable risk, and diversifiable risk are nothing but unsystematic risk. Is it right? So this is unsystematic risk. That's not. Should I take a decision of whether to join ICAI or ICASI based upon unsystematic risk? No. That's not. If this requires hard work, I'll do hard work and pass this examination. If this requires hard work, whatever hard work it requires, I'll do it and pass the examination. So I should never compare hard work for taking a decision whether I should join ICAI or ICSI. But say there are 2 chances that ICAI will become insolvent, and there is only 1 chances that ICSI will become insolvent. It will never become insolvent, but try to understand. Say theoretically this is found out. Is it alright? What is a per unit of risk you are getting written is 50,000 rupees per month? What is a per unit of risk you are getting written is 60,000 rupees per month? 60,000 divided by 1. Here you understand because beta is 1. Is it all? What is per unit of beta you are getting written as 60,000. You should join ICSI course. You should do company secretary and not chartered accountancy course. What was the base for measurement? Was a systematic risk and not unsystematic risk. Why? Unsystematic risk can be reduced through diversification. So you can work hard and pass the examination if you are getting a good amount of return. Is it alright? So that should not be considered for performance evaluation of any measurement of portfolio. Which risk should be considered for performance evaluation? This is what trainers believe. Is it alright? And trainers ratio just take systematic risk in denominator. See, risk should be taken in denominator. Here you have seen it. 1 lakh divided by 2, 60,000 divided by 1. Because we are finding out a return per unit of risk. Is it alright? This was a trainer's ratio. Is it alright? Let us learn third performance measurement evaluation is Jensen's alpha.
Sir.
Yes?
Sir, why risk-free rate of return are different normally? Risk-free rate of return should be same irrespective of portfolio, isn't it?
Yes, I have taken same.
But will it be different in questions, I mean?
No, it cannot be different. Is it alright? See, when you are deciding whether you should invest in portfolio A or portfolio B, say you are deciding today. Is it alright? Then if you are what is risk-free rate of return? Fixed deposit rate of return. More correct, it is treasury bill rate of return, which is a practically fixed deposit by government. Is it alright? So it is a treasury bill, say right now is running at 5%. Then on this date, the T-bills rate will be same, 5%. Is it alright? So practically when you are comparing the portfolio, RF should be same. RP will never be same. Return of the portfolio will differ, but RF will always be same. It will never be different. Is it not? When you are evaluating the portfolio. Next is Jensen's alpha. I am explaining you first conceptually, logically. In examination, there is one characteristics line that we'll be doing in lecture, and I'll be explaining you. Sometimes alpha is found out in that manner. But what is a technical or logical meaning of Jensen's alpha? Try to concentrate. This is my expected rate of return as per CAPM. That is RF plus beta into RM minus RF. Is it alright? RF plus beta into RM minus RF. This is my expected rate of return. Not actual. Let me take some data. RF is equal to 6%. Beta is equal to 2. And RM is equal to 13%. Let me put it in CAPM. It is 6% plus beta is 2. RM minus RF is 7. 14 plus 6 is 20% is expected rate of return. This CAPM formula I have used for portfolio A. Start it. Now see what actually portfolio A is earning. Portfolio A actual rate of return is 25%. See, expectation was 20%. What actually it is earning is 25%. Is it alright? How much more return you are getting over and above your expectation is nothing but 5%. 25% minus 5% is nothing but alpha. Alpha is also sometimes termed as abnormal rate of return. Yes, can any student answer me? This is an alpha, abnormal rate of return. Because you are taking risk, you are getting this 5%. Any student? Because you are taking risk, you are getting this 5%. This portfolio is getting 5% because portfolio manager is taking risk. No, try to concentrate. What portion he should be earning because of risk is 7%, and precisely 7% into 2%. What is beta of the portfolio 2? What is market rate of return is 7%? You should be getting 14% because of your risk, which you are earning, yes. Is it alright? You are earning this 14% plus risk-free rate of return, so you are earning 20%. But over and above that 20%, risk-free plus risk premium, you are earning an abnormal return of 5%. Why you are earning this more 5%? Sorry, it is 25% minus 20%, that is 5% is equal to alpha. Is it all? Why you are earning this more 5%? Because a portfolio manager might be intelligent. He might be very technical and sound in stock market. And so when others are getting 20%, this portfolio manager has got 25%. So this portfolio is good. This portfolio is good. Is it alright? They are earning more 5%. Is it all? Try to understand portfolio B with same data. This data was same. So expected rate of return as per CAPM came 20%. So what was beta of portfolio B? Was nothing but 2. RF is 6%, RM minus RF is 13 minus 6% is 7%. Is it alright? So expected rate of return is 20%. Is it alright? Actual rate of return is 23%. This portfolio manager is also good, yes. But how much abnormal return this portfolio manager is earning is 3%. How much this portfolio manager is earning is 5%. However, found out what is actual rate of return, 23%. What is expected rate of return is 20%. What is alpha is 23% minus 20%, which is nothing but 3%. My question, any student can answer. My question is, in which portfolio you will invest? Portfolio A or portfolio B? No answer? Sachin?
Sir, portfolio A.
You will be investing in portfolio A. Is it? Both manager are good, but understand both is having beta of 2. So both are taking same risk. So both should be having same expected rate of return, that is 20% and 20%. Everything else remaining same. This portfolio manager is earning 5% more as compared to benchmark. This portfolio manager is earning 3% more as compared to benchmark. You should put your money in a portfolio where the portfolio manager is having higher alpha or higher abnormal rate of return or higher return as compared to benchmark. Is it alright? So alpha is nothing but this. Let me also write it down in formula. Alpha will be is equal to, what is 23%? Return of portfolio minus RF plus beta into RM minus RF, which is nothing but required rate of return. Actual rate of return minus required rate of return is nothing but alpha. This is concept of alpha. This was given by Jennings, that how you should evaluate the portfolio. Find out alpha. Higher the alpha, that portfolio is better. Is it all? All three measurements. Which measurement we have done? All three measurement, is it alright, are ultimately evaluating the portfolio. One was Sharpe ratio, Trainer's ratio, and the third was alpha. What was Sharpe ratio? It is return of portfolio minus risk-free rate of return divided by standard deviation of portfolio. That's all right. Higher the Sharpe ratio, better is the portfolio. What was Jennings alpha? Same thing in numerator. But in denominator, trainers takes only systematic risk. So beta of the portfolio. Alpha, find this out in different manner. Alpha will be is equal to return of the portfolio minus expected return of portfolio. Or expected rate of return of portfolio. Is it alright? Expected rate of return, you can just write down CAPM formula and you will be getting the answer. Higher the Sharpe ratio, better is the portfolio. Higher the Trainer's ratio, better is the portfolio. Higher the alpha, better is the portfolio. My question is, alpha does not consider the risk. Yes or no? Any student can answer me. Stuti, you are there?
Yes, sir.
Alpha does not consider the risk. Say this is written, this is written. True or false?
False.
Why? How it considers risk?
Sir, it considers the risk by considering it is already there in expected rate of return.
Exactly. Is it alright? You are having it, you are correct, absolutely correct. In expected rate of return, what you do? RF plus beta into RM minus RF. This is nothing but a systematic risk. So alpha considers systematic risk. Is it alright? And then what it says that you should be earning 20%. But instead of 20%, you are earning 25%, so your alpha is 5. So you are incorrect to say that it does not consider the risk. Yes, it considers the risk. And which risk it considers? Like trainers, it considers only systematic risk. Is it alright? So try to understand. We have learned this 3 performance evaluation measurement. We have learned systematic risk, unsystematic risk, and try to understand whenever the evaluation is done. There are 2 authors who says that you should consider only systematic risk, because that is the risk which will be always there and you cannot reduce or nullify that risk. Sharpe ratio says that you should consider total risk, so it considers standard deviation. This was performance evaluation of a portfolio.